This is a Caterpillar 330 DL excavator. It's made by Norscot, and it's in 1/50th scale. Now, this is one of the better models from Norscot, and at the time that it was made, there was only one other Cat 330 out there that you could get. It was a 330C, and I think it was made by NZG. And at the time that this came out, which I want to say was maybe 2009 or 2010, the only other 330 you could get was about $300, and that was that 330C. And there wasn't anything too special about it, but it was just there weren't a whole lot of them, and they were kind of hard to come by, which is why they were $300. Now, the price of those have come down quite a bit, but it's still a substantial amount of money to spend for what you get. Especially when you compare it to this. The original price point on these things was, I want to say it was somewhere between $60 and $70, which is a pretty darn good value. I think Norscot, or not Norscot, I'm sorry, Diecast Masters, they either release this as a core classic, or they're going to. One of the two. I'm pretty sure you can still get these things. And I think the price is somewhere around $90 or $100, which I think is probably too much for these. It's a great model, but I don't know if it's $100 great. 60 or 70 great? Yeah, absolutely, all day long. $70, this thing is great. But 100 is probably a little too much. Now, as far as the model itself goes, like I said, it's pretty good from Norscot. It's got some of the better features that Norscot started to incorporate into their models. Right off the bat, you got spring-loaded metal tracks. There's just the regular standard triple grouser for the excavators, but it's really a pretty good undercarriage. It looks good, it rolls nice, and it looks pretty good too. You also have some mirrors. You got some nice handrails here. You have some hydraulic hose and piping there, which is pretty nice. No grease lines or anything like that. But one thing that's interesting is here on the stick, you do have two remote lines, and you also have the hydraulic lines for the coupler that run down right there, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, they didn't have to include that, but they did. The range of motion for this particular machine is actually really pretty good. Like, that's the upper limit for the boom, which is about what it is on a 330 anyway. And then you bring it down all the way, that's about pretty close to what it should be. Stick, again, is pretty good. The bucket, it dumps just fine, but it could probably curl in just a little bit more than it actually does. But overall, though, if you compare it to like the Ertl range of motion, it's pretty fantastic. The hydraulic cylinders are pretty stiff. They're stiff enough to hold most poses, but the bucket is a little bit weak. I mean, you can dump it out and it's fine, but when you extend it out all the way, it's just a little bit loose. Overall, it's really a pretty nice machine. Probably the best feature on these excavators, though, the 330 had it, the 336 had it. I'm not sure if the 336E had it or not. I'm not sure. I think it did. But you got this quick coupler set up here. Now, is a quick coupler perfect? No. But it's pretty darn good. Now, Norscot, as far as I know, never made any attachments for the coupler itself. But that doesn't mean that nobody else did. If you look hard enough on the internet, you can find just a complete assortment of hammers and grapples and shears, different sizes of buckets, all kinds of buckets, especially with 3D printing now. There's so many buckets that are made with this coupler style to fit these 330s that you can get pretty much any tool you want to put on the excavator, and that's pretty nice. I know Steel City Construction, they made just the the bucket end of the coupler itself with basically it's got like a blank plate with 2 brackets on it. So if you find any bucket you can find that will fit that bracket, you can put it on your 330. You know, it's got the coupler ready to go, and that's pretty neat. Now, the Steel City couplers are kind of expensive, and I think that makes it a little bit cost prohibitive. I want to say those couplers, if you can still get them, they were like $12 or $13. It was, for what you were getting, that's pretty expensive. But like I said, it allowed you to put anything you could think of on these 330s, and that's pretty cool, especially from Norscot. Overall, though, it's a great model, and it's, like I said, it's aged very well. Is it as nice as some of the other 30-ton excavators that are out there now? Maybe not quite as nice. It's not as nice as a TMC, but it doesn't cost half as much as a TMC. So, yeah, it's like they say, you get what you pay for. Well, I think this is a pretty good value for what you pay to get it. Overall, like, I've been pretty happy with it. I like it. Anyway, that's about all I got for this. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. If you'd like to see more of what we have, please subscribe to Maryland Construction Diecast. And as always, thanks for watching.